on the Fan.
Welcome back in. We appreciate you spending time with us this evening. If you're as passionate about college football and high school football as the people are in this room, you're going to enjoy the show. And we've got just a stellar list of guests, not only panel participants, including Doug Konkel, Chris Mooneyham, Rusty Mansell. My name is Doug Cowart, and this is The Fan, 680 93.7 FM. You'll hear from Milton head coach, Milton High School, Adam Clack. You'll get Jeff Collins, the head coach from Georgia Tech, as well as GHSA Executive Director Robin Hines. That's all in the first hour. Fellas, what's going on with you?
A lot.
No kidding.
There's a lot going on. We're going to get to a little news brief of sorts here coming up in just a moment, guys. Seems like every day, or at least we're not going 2 days without hearing some big news in the state of Georgia.
Big, little, doesn't matter. Something is always happening right now. You get a reschedule. You get a team that can't practice. I mean, it's minute by minute.
I'm the opposite. I'm that there's 390-something teams ready to buckle it up next week.
There you go.
We're going to have hiccups, and that's just going to be – we talked about that. I think, we're going to have Dr. Hines on again. I was on a conference call with him yesterday, and what he has done and the decisions he has made and what he has went through this summer, he made it today, you don't want to be me right now, and what he has had to do has been incredible, to be honest with you, and we hope everything goes safe. I know he does too. There's week-to-week meetings, but all the coaches, and like what he said, he's going to say it again tonight, I'm sure, 99% of the responses he got has been, let's play.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And I think if it was 85-15, we wouldn't be sitting here today. But he knows the pulse of these state of Georgia coaches, these communities, and everybody wants to play as long as we can.
I'll tell you what, it's funny that you bring that up because I was talking to somebody during the week about this. It's almost like Robin Hines is like a wartime president and we're winning the war.
Every day.
Well, you know what I mean?
Every
because,
day.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Every GHSA director gets criticized. All these guys get criticized. Swearingen, one of the greatest of all time, who left us a few years ago, not left us, but I mean he retired.
Yeah, right.
He was criticized. Gary Phillips was criticized. And Robin Hines has been as well, but he's kind of like a wartime president in that he's performed so well in the middle of this crisis. There are a lot of people that are saying, you know what, I've gained so much respect for him, and I care so much more about him now than I ever have before.
I couldn't imagine his phone every day. Yeah. I bet his phone is like me on National Signing Day. Just every day right now. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine how many times a day he has to charge it. But, I certainly wanted high school football. It's not my decision if it's safe enough. But they have weekly meetings, and they have been consistent. If you follow what we've got in place, we're going to be able to play football. And, man, we're 1 week from it.
Back to your analogy, Chris. He's like a wartime president. But he's like a wartime president who's done everything right. And now we're about to fight the big battle.
That's right.
That's right.
So this is where he succeeds or he doesn't succeed. And I think he's done a tremendous job. But like Rusty's saying, we all hope it goes well. If it doesn't, he's the guy whose butt is truly on the line.
It is.
That's why you're a leader, though.
It is.
You got to make the tough decision. You got to hope things turn out, and that if everyone does what they're supposed to, it should.
But
so we've won some skirmishes in Africa, and now we're getting ready to land on D-Day.
Exactly.
This is like World War II for sure. But it does seem that way because you're right, man. There's no pleasing everyone, and I don't think he should try to please everyone. I think he should do what he thinks is best, and I believe that's what he's done. And I look forward to talking to him here in about 5 or 6 minutes or so. You're listening to the 680 The Fan High School Athletic Roundtable. We, of course, will talk a lot of college football, but Mooney, as we discussed earlier, there's more to high school athletics than just football.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to remember these kids that are not getting to play. We've got 70 teams that will not be playing the week of September 4th next week when these games begin. Right around 70 teams is the rough number because we've got teams coming in and going out. There's about 425 or so teams in the state of Georgia, so I'll do the math for you. Don't worry. That's about 16% or so.
You saw how scared Rusty looked just then?
Yeah, I did. Right.
Yeah.
He pulled out his abacus there. Usually I let my wife do the math in the house. She was
went right over this.
Same.
Let me give you some updates here because we have had a lot of news break over the last week, especially the last 2 weeks since we were last on the air. I'm not going to go back that far, of course. Newton County Schools, this is important, lifted their ban.
Big deal.
So you're going to find Alcovey, east side of Covington, and the Newton Rams that are going to get to play their season. That's big for Newton, as you know.
Huge.
That's a great team. We've got them at number 13 in our 680 The Fan Friday Night Football rankings, our preseason rankings, which, by the way, you can find at 680thefan.com/Friday Night Football.
Pay that man. Pay that man.
Speaking of rankings, Milton is number 10 in our Friday Night Football 7A rankings. They're out until September 3rd. Positive tests due to COVID, but they'll have plenty of time to get ready for their opener September 17th against Johns Creek. Cambridge, is Cambridge 4 or 5 miles down the road from Milton?
From Milton, yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, it's probably not even that far.
Well,
rock.
They too are in quarantine. September 25th will be their first ball game against Forsyth Central. They'll have plenty of time to get ready. They'll be back on the field August 29th. Macon-Bibb County Schools, another big one, is going to now enter a phase-in schedule to bring their kids back out onto the field.
Now, that's a change. They were not going to play, correct? Is this a change?
Yes, sorry.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely,
that's
it's a big deal.
Yeah, for those kids.
Not only did they decide they're coming back, but they've earmarked September 14th.
That's great.
So they're going to hit the field really quick here. Let's head out to Middle Georgia and South Georgia and East Georgia. Baldwin is down in Baldwin High School. The Braves are down in Middle Georgia. Milledgeville.
Yes.
In Milledgeville. They've decided, announced on Tuesday, they're going to play only a region schedule.
Yep.
That affects a lot of schools. Hancock Central in Sparta, which is in East Georgia just off of 20, and Dooley County in Middle Georgia, south of Macon, right off of 75 there. Both Class A public schools delaying their seasons. Through September 25th is the date. Now, one more in South Georgia, Terrell County, down near Albany. That's been a hot spot. Doherty County, of course, they've delayed their season until October, canceling all of their region ball games, non-region ball games.
So the only thing that I struggle with is moving it back 2 weeks. I don't know what the benefit is there.
We talked about that. We talked about that. Here, like Alabama started last week,
right?
2 weeks ahead of us. If there is a cluster of hiccups, Albany,
learn from it.
Albany, Savannah, we have 8 or 10, 12, 15 teams in the season need 2 weeks off. What does that do to everybody else? Because we basically have taken away our safety
padding.
At the end, we're state championship after Christmas now. We're after Christmas for state championships in Georgia. So I'm not griping at all.
No, of course not.
I just like to say why I wish we could have started on time and had those 2 weeks, because there's going to be some hiccups. I'm a girl dad, 4 girls.
Yeah.
I know all the softball teams. I know a softball team in Northwest Georgia. It's about 6 games in. They got hit this week. So now they're going to miss about 7 region games in the next 2 weeks. So how do they get those games back?
Do they have the padding in the schedule or no?
No.
So basically, like we're talking about, you lost that padding.
They're going to have to play double headers at some point.
Yeah.
They're going to play some Saturday games to make up. So it's different when you play in a football game because you take a beating and you have to play 5 days later.
So I believe the reason why they keep pushing it ahead, the theory, I'm not saying it's the right way to go, is because they're thinking, well, let's get these kids in school. Let's let the COVID do what it's going to do. Let's find it. Let's get beyond it. And then we can play. So the hope is they'll weather that initial storm and be in better shape for the rest of the season.
Makes sense.
I believe with what you guys say, though, I've always thought that. Start earlier and give yourself a chance to adjust as it goes on. But I want to repeat something we said 2 weeks ago. We're going to say it again tonight, I'm sure, a couple times. Be happy if you get to play a football game.
And they are. And everybody is.
I think everybody
is.
Appreciative.
Let me give you guys one more update. The Westminster schools have had to push back the start of their season due to COVID-19 contact school quarantine rules. They still have not practiced in pads, by the way. Westminster will not make up its September 4th opener against Lovett, and that was our opener. Doug Konkel.
It was going to be the opening Friday night football game of the week. We're going to do Colquitt at Marietta now, though. So
the big one.
That'll be a nice little cross-state rivalry. The post-Propst Colquitt County players coming up here to take on Marietta post-Harrison Bailey.
Here we go. All right. Well, 680, the Fan in the High School Athletic Roundtable, brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and My MRI Guy, bringing Robin Hines onto the show. He is the GHSA Executive Director. Good to talk to you, sir. We appreciate your time again. Thank you for being on with us. How are you? Are you there?
I'm here.
All right, good news. Executive Director Robin Hines, thank you so much. Doing okay? Are you as excited about the high school football season as everybody in this room, sir?
More.
I like it.
If we kick it off, when it gets kicked off, then that'll be like that's a major goal achieved. No doubt. So yeah, real excited.
Dr. Hines, Rusty Mansell here. We were on a conference call yesterday, mentioned this. I was in Alabama last weekend, was able to watch a team basically from the time they got in the parking lot, shot temperatures before they ever went to the gym. This team had to bus about an hour, got to the game, mask, all that. How much did you pay attention to what was going on in that state last weekend, and what did you guys learn, if anything, from the state of Alabama on opening weekend, where I think they had close to 150 games in Alabama and Tennessee last weekend?
They did, and they had some successes, and they had some places where they probably could have done a better job, just like we're going to have. Mm-hmm. I've spoken with Steve Savarese, who is the executive director in Alabama, probably every day this week, just to see how things went and what they did. And every state is different. They do things a little bit different over there. Their governor and state departments of health, have more oversight control, whereas ours are more local control, is the way those things work. And so, you got a bunch of different ways of doing things instead of a blanket, you're going to have this many %. And I like the way we're doing it because mm-hmm. we've got some places that have not been impacted at all, and they shouldn't be impacted. And there are other places that, have different scenarios, and their percentages of spectators may be different, and the locals being able to mandate masks and those sorts of things. So they're really different. But I think Alabama did a really good job, and I know that Steve Savarese and his folks have been on top of it, and I know we have, and I'm ready to get it going.
Dr. Hines, Chris Mooneyham here. Thanks for joining us. Did you all at the GHSA, did you speak to the regions, the counties in regards, give your thoughts on these attendance numbers, as we've seen so many of these reports coming down over the last couple of weeks, like Gwinnetta's decided to limit their fan attendance to 30% for the fall. Glenn County, for instance, has decided on 40% for the fall. Did you guys throw in your input there, or did they come to you and ask for your opinion on it?
Well, a lot of people, everybody asked your opinion on it. They ask your opinion on everything because it's a whole lot easier for somebody else to make a decision than you to make a decision. But the way that it works is we went and we give the guidance that the Department of Health gives. Like in Georgia, the State Department of Health, they give a lot of guidance out. But the individual departments of health, what they do is they have autonomy. And so they make their own minds up about the way those things go. So when we talk about those deals, we feel like that the local superintendent, the local boards of education, the local departments of health are in much better shape to determine what's best for their community than what we are. It may be a place I've never been to. I've never seen their setup. So that's kind of the way that we're approaching it. We've got places that have said that we're going to allow 35% capacity indoors, so for us right now that would be volleyball. We're going to go 45% outdoors, for football and those sorts of things. We've got others that feel like that they're going to open it up and let things go. They're going to require masks. We've got some that are not going to. My first focus is the Corky Kell Classic, which, the masks are going to be required. The seating spectators are limited there, and we're going to see how things go. I saw some troubling things out of Alabama, last week, but not of anybody's fault. It's just that, when people come in there, you can't have just people loaded up saying, you got to social distance and move them apart. There's got to be some social responsibility as well.
Dr. Hines, this is Doug Konkel talking. I got a question for you. Are you familiar with the Utah team, the American Forks Cavemen?
Is that the one where the AD went on and said, we're not going to play until you social distance?
That's exactly right. I knew you would know the answer to that. So I want to, if anyone's not familiar, the athletic director literally stopped the game in the first quarter, told everybody in the stands, we told you what to do, you're not doing it, and unless you put your masks on and social distance, we're not going to keep playing this football game. Now, he was pretty extreme, but is that the kind of leadership you would like to see, I think, on the local level for people that have established these rules, for people they can see not following them? Like you mentioned in Alabama, there were some disappointing actions by some fans there.
Well, I'm sure there were some disappointing actions in Utah as well.
Sure.
And I talked to Rob Cuff, who's the executive director from Utah today as well. And, that's going to happen. I mean, people are going to do those things. And I don't want to say anything derogatory about those situations because those people have all of them have planned and done a great job of getting ready for this. Okay? So, but if you can imagine 5,000 people in the stands and all that stuff, are you going to send a volunteer or a math teacher or something up into the stands to say, sir, you got to put your mask on or you're out of here? That's not going to happen. We've got to be realistic about those things, and what we've got to have is social responsibility. And when we reach that, we're going to be better on all levels. Now, I will say that I don't know if you guys have been following the numbers, but I have been very encouraged with the numbers that I've seen leading up to the season, and I'm breathing a sigh of relief, of where that's concerned. So I'm feeling pretty good going in there, but I'll feel a whole lot better when we kick it off and I'll be watching some football. Excuse my dog.
He's fine. He's always welcome.
His name is Elvis. He's a great guy.
He is in the building.
Yep.
Yes, he is.
Dr. Hines, well, this is Rusty again. Will you guys continue to have a meeting every single week with your medical team and those types of things? I know you've been doing that pretty much all the summer. Is that the plan as the season moves forward?
Well, we're going to do it in less than a week this time because, a week would be on Wednesday, and on Wednesday I'm going to be heading up to the Corky Kell Classic on Wednesday.
Gotcha.
So we're going to meet on Tuesday, just kind of see where we are. But believe it or not, we're not necessarily talking about, high school football or anything like that. We'll be talking about some other issues about how we will handle, situations that could arise as a result of the COVID-19, and just to be prepared. About those, things and how we reacclimatize. We put some things out there today that we hopefully will be able to help some schools that can, that maybe have some kids quarantined that could help them, loosen some things up safely to allow them to get some kids back quicker and give them some options anyway. So those are the things we're talking about now.
Dr. Hines, I got to ask you kind of a hybrid question similar to what I asked you last week, and you'll know as soon as I start to bring it up. Southeast Bullock, down by Statesboro, is in a region where the rest of their region teams are now out. Save Liberty County, who has indefinitely suspended their season. But all the Savannah schools that were in that region have now, of course, as we all know, announced they're going to play an intra-district schedule. I asked you not last week, 2 weeks ago, about how we would form the playoff brackets, and most of us who are listening, who are experts, know that the regions will decide who makes the playoffs. But what if there's only one team in said region? Have you guys had conversations about maybe bringing back that power ranking structure to try to let in a fifth-place team from another region? Or how do you think we'll end up handling that? Trying to figure out who takes those three spots to get into the state tournament.
Let me think about power rankings for a minute. No. No.
That's why I said it like that. I already knew what your answer was going to be. But in all seriousness, how do you think we'll handle that?
And I'll be serious. First thing is, I think Liberty County is going to be back. I think they're going to be able to come in there. I think they're going to be able to play. Now, as far as Savannah Chatham, playing an intra thing, I'll tell you how that worked. They came and said, we're not going to play outside of the county. We're playing an intra. And so our response was, well, does that mean that you're not going to be in the playoffs? Oh, no, that's not what we said, but that's what you wrote. So we had to go back and do that again, and the agreement from that region, and I could be wrong because I wasn't in the meeting, and there are 430 schools playing football and that sort of thing, but I believe what's happening is that the Southeast Bullock and Liberty County would be the 1 and 2 is the way that they've determined that, and
correct.
Savannah Chatham will take the 3 and 4. Depending on what comes out of their region, which I think is really good because, as we know, regions determine that, and you've got a 7-team region, you got 5 Savannah regions, and, they made the decision they did. It put some hardship on the teams not in their region, and, I think that that's a way that they could make it right, and, so I feel pretty good about that situation. Now, to take that further, if you get into a situation because we have basically 8 classifications nowadays, which, and everybody that knows that follows reclassifications knows that I think that's entirely too many. We've got too many small regions and that sort of thing. So there is a possibility, guys, that you could see some buys in the brackets in the playoffs, and that's the monster that we've created, and of course to throw that in with the situation that we're in now, that absolutely could happen. So the regions still determine how they do it. They can do it from playing. They can do it from, they have the rights to get in the corner and draw them out of a hat. So but that's how we're going to do things.
Dr. Hines, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate everything you've done for Georgia high school football. I know that everything you're working on has people that love it, and then there's going to be those critics, and you can't please everyone. But we just want to say how much we appreciate the work you've done for the high school students.
I appreciate it. Our focus is providing kids a framework where they can have some opportunities to be successful. But I did want to say one thing. I think on the lead-in, when I was coming in, you were talking about Colquitt and Marietta. It's my understanding, I believe, that Colquitt County has had some offensive and defensive linemen that are quarantined, and they feel that they're not going to be able to play. So I don't think they're going to play the first 2 weeks. That's something that we need to follow up on and see where that's going. So, I know they had Marietta and Brookwood the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
Every radio show likes to break news. I do not like this news you are breaking right now. That was
great having you, Dr. Hines.
Well, go ahead, sir.
Throw a nugget out there for you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And it's really, it's certainly disappointing. But I've said from day one, there's going to be some bumps in the road, and this is certainly a bump in the road. And those kids, our focus now is to support Colquitt County and make sure that they're squared away and get those kids reacclimatized and ready to go for week 3.
Dr. Robin Hines, the executive director of the GHSA. Thank you, sir, for your time. We appreciate you being on the fan with us.
Have a great day.
You too, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What a guy, man. The guy that is clearly passionate, but we can't, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what Mooney is banging his head against the microphone for.
I don't know what you're upset about. I was going to call the game.
I just got a text from a coach that said, Colquitt is shut down. It's going to be hiccups.
Yeah,
that's just what it is. Every single week this is going to happen. Every single week.
I just finished my game preview for next week to post to the website. This is the second one I've written. I finished the Lovett Westminster preview, found out that they were
just do 3 or 4. You might make one of those next time.
Yeah. Well, we better text Carl at the break, by the way.
I want to mention
plenty of
Mr.
games.
Hines had mentioned the numbers and how they're trending in the state. I track these faithfully every day. So we were about mid-July through early August. We were over 3,000, like 3,200 cases a day. And now we're down to more like 24, 23, 2,500 cases a day, which is, it's better. But we're kind of plateauing there now, and we're still not low enough. So my biggest fear, though, is that people have been doing a better job. The numbers are going in the right direction. And they're going to think when they see football on TV next Thursday night or this coming Saturday, or they go to stadium next Friday, we did it.
Everything's normal.
Throw off the mask. I'm worried people will relax. And this is like, you got an opponent down and you got to keep piling on so they can't come back. That's what this is all about.
It's, what is the old saying? It just means more.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I'm out a lot. I travel a lot. And I have seen more masks in the last 2 weeks at everywhere. And I'm not saying it's 100%, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong if you're not wearing one.
I get it.
But I'll tell you this. I have seen more masks. I sat out here today at 8 at Sports and Social across the street, and I sat outside, and I probably watched 50 people walk by, and 45 of them had masks. 2 weeks ago, may have been 50%.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. Those numbers going down we're talking about, and those masks you're seeing, those things are connected.
Yep.
So there's definitely a pattern there.
Brookwood game with Colquitt is canceled. Confirmed.
There you go. Cancel.
So that's just the first 2 weeks. So, look, it is what it is.
Can reschedule, though, maybe?
They're not going to reschedule.
No, definitely not.
No, those are non-region games.
Yeah, so they wouldn't.
Colquitt has moved to week 3, and Brookwood will probably eat one, so they'll be minus a game unless somebody else has ones open. So
there you go. 680 The Fan High School Athletic Roundtable brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and My MRI Guy. When we come back, we'll talk to Georgia Tech head coach Collins. Jeff Collins will join us here on The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Wondering if the 6 games a week your kid is pitching are going to affect them later in life? I'm your guy. Go to mymriguy.com now.
The Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show, every Friday during football season, heard across the state of Georgia from 10 p.m. to midnight, starting September 4th, running through the entire high school football season. Go to 680thefan.com/scoreboard show for a full list of affiliates.
Jeff Francoeur here. From my early days playing GHSA ball to my 13 years in the major leagues, I know the importance of supporting your home state and being part of a team. Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team, helping Georgia build a strong agriculture industry and offering affordable home, auto, and life insurance for Georgia families. With agents and volunteers in every community of the state, Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team. Visit Georgia Farm Bureau online at gfb.org to learn more.
You can find us on social media at 680 The Fan, at Mansell 247, at Mooneyham on air, at Doug Konkel, and at Doug Cowart. A lot of ways to find us and connect with us across the social media platforms. Like you said, you're listening to 680 The Fan's High School Athletic Roundtable. We'll get to Coach Jeff Collins, head coach at Georgia Tech, coming up in about 2 or 3 minutes. Guys, any takeaways from Dr. Hines other than the bad news?
I got one.
Turn your mic on, guys.
We have another game scheduled, so I'm going to go ahead and do you a favor right now. Do not write up a preview for Prince Avenue Christian at Wesleyan on October 2nd, because every time we bring up a game on this show, it doesn't survive the next week.
Okay, yeah.
Dr. Hines did that to us already.
That'd be a great ball game, by the way, if we're able to get it here.
True.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Consistency. I mean, he's been consistent.
Yeah.
And I like what he said. I don't like that we had a hiccup, but they understand it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Colquitt is out the first 2 weeks, and we're just going to move on. They already know there's going to be hiccups down the line. They're talking about buys in the bracket. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, you can win 2 games, and next thing you know, you got to buy in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So don't think teams aren't going to start looking down the line and going, wait a minute, if we're number 2, if we win these
just
2
start
weeks,
playing the shell game.
we're going to get a buy in week 3.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
Yeah, I hated to bring it up again, the playoff question, but it is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we have 32 times 8. That's how many teams make, was that
256.
Thank you, 256. All right, I was going to be right. Thank you. But 256 teams make the playoffs in the state of Georgia now. That's almost half the field or more than half the field now.
Crazy.
So it's an important question that means so much to these communities, and when you're trying to figure out who's going to fill these spots, it's really something. But I expected that answer on the power rankings.
Yeah, no, he's very candid, and I certainly appreciate him. Another guy that looking forward to talking to this evening is the head coach at Georgia Tech, Jeff Collins. Jeff, we appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you so much for coming on and talking some high school football with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. So high school football in Georgia is, I mean, it's the heartbeat of the entire state. And then it's so closely connected with college football at the level where you are. How important is it for you to be able to see high school football actually being played versus maybe even on a huddle video, but actually getting out to some games?
Right. Well, I'm actually a product of Georgia high school football. And, I played at Rockdale County High School out in Conyers. And just the coaches, the community, everything that surrounds the high school football experience in the state of Georgia made me fall in love with this game and made me be the person that wanted to be in the position that I'm in right now as the head coach of Georgia Tech. And, one of my best, memories of last year was actually getting to go to high school football games, the Friday night lights in the state of Georgia. There's not a lot of places that compare to the passion, the energy, the excitement, and to be honest with you, the level of football and the level of coaching that exists in this state.
Coach, Doug Konkel here. We had GHSA Executive Director Robin Hines on this right before you, and we talked about how different places around the state will have diminished capacity in their stadiums. Now, you're going to have that same issue at Georgia Tech. I think about 11,000 there, and you might be on the road and have no fans. How's that going to feel for you? And again, for these high school kids as they play in front of smaller crowds, potentially no crowds?
Sure. Well, one of the biggest core principles in our philosophy, in our whole program, is that it doesn't matter the circumstance, the crowd size, any of those things. If we have to play in a Waffle House parking lot with nobody there, we're going to put the ball down and bring our own energy, bring our own juice, and be ready to play and compete at a very high level. And, that's a core principle that we constantly talk about in our program. Now, in the past, that hasn't been an issue, but now just that core thinking and every single day matters, every practice matters, every scrimmage matters. All of those things are encapsulated in our mindset. And we'll see this year that hopefully it pays off.
Coach Collins, Rusty Mansell here of 24/7. I'm from Rome, Georgia, live up in Rome, and two of your players are two young men that I have known since they were middle school kids, brothers, Jaquan and Jamias Griffin. Tell me one thing about those kids, and can you talk Tyrone, their father, into having one more? Because he's signed 4 D1 kids so far. I tell Tyrone all the time, man, you're doing something right.
There's no doubt. We're blessed to have both of them. Jaquan is a defensive tackle for us. He's had a tremendous offseason. He's had a tremendous preseason camp. I don't know if you've seen him lately.
I have not.
He cut his hair. He had long hair, and he cut it, and he's playing at a really, really high level. Great motor, great energy, great pass rusher in the interior part of the defensive line. And Jamias was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Georgia.
Sure was.
First team USA Today All-American. I thought that was one of the biggest recruiting wins that we've had since we've been here. In our first recruiting class in a short recruiting cycle, a young man that had offers from just about everybody and really didn't have much interest in Georgia Tech, even though his brother went to school here. And then we came here, and I obviously got to give hats off and credit to Shard Choice, our running backs coach. Did a great job developing relationships. And I still remember the home visit with his dad, going by his work. And, both of them, when they came back from quarantine, the dad had put them through it.
Oh, man.
They came back in shape, ready to go, the right demeanor, and just really proud of both of them.
I tell people all the time, one of the biggest keys, I know how you have to make this decision. Does the kid love football? Does the kid love recruiting more than football? Those two kids right there, there's no issues. They love football more than anything else.
Yep, they love ball. They're doing a great job for us. Really excited for them.
Good to hear.
Jamias, one of the great high school football running backs
from middle school
I've ever seen.
From middle school on, because I kept getting all those. That team was so good, and I knew when they beat McEachern in middle school. That's
when we started hearing about him.
When that job came open, all these people started calling me, and I told Coach Collins, I told everybody, if you want a job, you better get the Rome job, because this 7th and 8th grade team, and they won 2 state championships, should have won 3.
They've got another team coming up too, by the way.
Yep.
Hey, his best run Saturday in the scrimmage. We had an unfortunate bad snap that didn't even get anywhere close to the quarterback. And I think Jemias picked it up and ran for about 28 on a complete busted play.
Yep.
Just a great competitor, great kid.
That sounds about right. Coach Chris Mooneyham here. Part of what I loved about you taking this job, you getting this job, was that you knew how to market the city. We've talked about it in great detail. I'll not dive into all of that. But I will bring it up in regards to getting the kids on campus, getting them in the stadium, getting them there at night to see the skyline, things of that nature. Tell us about the challenges of dealing with recruiting in the, here it is again, guys, the age of COVID-19.
Yeah, so one of the big things, I don't know if you can see it right here.
404.
For the 404, this is actually one of our off-season conditioning teams. This is one of the hoodies that the 10 kids on the best team in the off-season got, and that's just marketing, branding. We've been very aggressive with our presence on social media, the platform that we give our guys to use, and we co-sign them throughout the social media, tag them and post and all those things. We've got a tremendous coaching staff with great energy, technologically savvy. A lot of the guys that I brought with me, half of the staff played at Georgia Tech, and I think another half of them are from the great state of Georgia, and they know what this city's about. They know what the school is about. And, they know we have a chance to build something really special here in Atlanta. If you think about really, I think it's 12 of the last 14 national champions have come within a 5-hour radius of the city of Atlanta. Some of the best high school coaching, some of the best high school players in America are right in that 5-hour radius and right in our home state. And, we've embraced being in Atlanta. We've embraced being Atlanta's college football power. And, I was here growing up when Georgia Tech was the team that everybody talked about. When I was a young coach back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were on College Game Day. We were in the top 10 every year. We were playing in New Year's Day bowl games, ACC championships. That's what Georgia Tech is to me. That's the Georgia Tech that I know and love. That's the Georgia Tech that I was born and raised on in the city of Atlanta. And just to have the opportunity to be the head coach, I know this city. I love this city. When I talk about it, when I preach about it, when I sell it, it is genuine because there's a genuine love for this place in this city that lives and breathes in our building every day.
You can see the passion, Coach, that you have, no doubt about it, and you can hear it in your voice. And I think everybody just recognizes it immediately. It's very clear. And, of course, the Fan here, 680, is the flagship for Georgia Tech football, so make sure you're listening to the Jackets here when we get football season kicked off. But I want to ask you something that comes up because my son is a 10th grader at Alpharetta, and he and his buds, they talk about, getting recruited one day and how awesome and how fun that will be and that entire process. But right now there's just a lot of question marks around the recruiting process because it's hard to see, are kids getting to play. What is it that you're doing and what would you recommend parents and kids are doing to make sure they do get seen by eyes like yours? If they have that desire to come play at Georgia Tech or any college football program across the country.
Yeah, so I've got an unbelievable recruiting staff led by our general manager, Patrick Suttis. They scour over tape. They were watching 2023 kids today. We had a morning practice, and I hear them out in the hallway, wearing masks and popping in and out of offices and things. They're watching 2023 kids. Obviously, I can't talk specifics.
Of course.
But we are doing deep dives in every we start with our city first, we start with our state first, and then we go beyond that border to the next phase of it. But just making sure they're doing the right things in their high school program. Academics is key, especially we're one of the top 4 academic schools in America, so that those kind of things are very important. Over the summer there were virtual combines. We would get the links and our recruiting staff would scour through those and constant building relationships. And, one of the biggest pieces, too, is making sure if I'm a young man that's playing high school football, whether I'm 8th, 9th, 7th, whatever the grade may be, make sure your coaches know what your goals are, what your hopes are, what your dreams are, what you want to get out of this experience, and places you might be interested in, that you do want to play college football. And when they hear that passion and they understand what you want to do, they'll make sure they market you and promote you to that end. Now, I'll be honest with you. I told my coaches that all the time in high school, and, was begging them to get me a Georgia Tech offer. And I ended up being a walk-on at Western Carolina University. I had passion, but just my tape didn't necessarily back it up. But I ended up being a 3-year start at Western Carolina. Now I'm the head football coach at Georgia Tech. So, it all pays off.
Get in where you fit in, right?
That's right. Anywhere you can play. I like it. Well, Coach Collins, we certainly appreciate your time, and we want to wish you the best of luck this year, and y'all go hit them hard.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coach. 680
The Fans High School Athletic Roundtable brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and my MRI guy.
Guys, just really quick, he talks about the recruiting area. I've been in debates with folks about this for years and years when it comes to Georgia Tech. And I always remind people, from the state of Georgia, I've run these numbers every single year. Over the last decade, anywhere from 14 to 16.5% of all National Football League players, Georgia natives. 14 to 16.5% Georgia natives in the last decade.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers. That tells you what Georgia is producing as far as top flight talent. That's not even talking about the numbers of the kids that go on to play major college football.
Rusty and I on our recruiting show said many times that a plane ticket to Atlanta for an assistant coach is an easy way to keep your recruiting budget down because there's so many players you can see at one time. Imagine living in Atlanta, how small your recruiting budget can be.
There you go. Want to go back out to the phones and bring in Adam Clack. Of course, he is the head coach at Milton High School. Coach, thank you for your time. We appreciate you joining us on The Fan. So we're going to get back to Coach. We'll get back to him in just a little bit. Any thoughts on what Coach Collins said?
I go back to him saying how well coached the kids are in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear that. I have heard it from years and years and years. I talk to a lot of college coaches, and everybody that recruits this state tells me one thing. The state of Georgia kids are ready to play.
Yeah.
I was in Alabama last week. Coach is asking me, one of the coaches there was asking me, hey, next time a job comes open, let me know. Because, number one, they pay here. They take care of their assistants. And the state of Georgia invests in their coaching. And you can, like Chris said, you can see our product.
Yeah.
You can see the product. I was in Milton. We're going to talk to Coach Clack. I was in Milton 2 weeks ago. And not just saying it because he's on here. That's one of the most efficient practices you'll see. I mean, they're constantly moving. I'll go some places. It's not like I'll go some places that's great, but
wasted movement.
Movement.
Right.
Yeah. Very efficient because one group was in this end zone. They did I never seen. I have to ask Coach Clark. They did a special teams drill where they were trying to keep guys in the lane, and they had 2 kids going at all times. Quarterbacks were down here repping others. Everybody was going, but I've never seen a special team where they had everybody involved. It wasn't just 11 guys running down the lane, just la-di-da. I mean, these kids were blocking, trying to keep you in the lane, condensing down coverage and those types of things. So those just little bitty things that separate the state of Georgia from some of these other places I go.
Now, Coach Clack, head football coach at Milton High School, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on Zoom tonight.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to this all week.
All right. Let me tell you, my man's coming in here fiery. You know what? I'm just going to let you answer, because as you were sitting there, did you hear Rusty talking about the special teams drill?
Appreciate all the, kind words from Coach Collins and you guys about the coaching and the state of football in Georgia. And I echo that. My peers and the colleagues around this state are second to none. And we learn so much from each other. We learn so much from, Coach Collins and Georgia Tech staff, who's so accommodating. And probably some of the stuff that you saw probably picked up from them. But, we were trying, kind of this, we call it kind of our camp week right now because we still have a little bit of time before we play. And something we were wanting to do in the spring and over the summer was essentially just kind of create some special teams competition, drills. The same 4 drills, going to do them for a couple weeks, got teams competing, and just really more before we get into the scheme, we want to see those guys kind of compete. And purposely, we didn't overcoach it. We wanted them to kind of implicitly learn these things and kind of figure out by winning the drill.
Yep.
I think, Russ, you probably saw our mug drill where we had 3 guys trying to block and mug off the line while the other 3 guys are going down, and we had a returner going. And I mean, what better way to teach trail technique and teach a returner how to press a point and hit than doing that? It's one of those things we typically overcoach. And we just kind of giving the guys the opportunity to figure out on their own and compete and have some fun.
Coach, I've been all over the state of Georgia from Thomasville to Rabin County this year, and I've watched what you guys have done. What challenges have you faced specifically at Milton to try to make sure you're going to get to this kickoff in a couple of weeks? What has been those things? It's like, and listen, everybody had to work hard to get here, but what is one thing, two things that like we really had to focus on to make sure we're going to get to this point in a couple of weeks?
Well, just kind of what we're talking about. And this is not unique to Milton. This is so many people in this state. I mean, it's a 365 job, and we have a blueprint of what we like to do, and we take a lot of pride in how we attack January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and you've had to pivot. Yep. And we have a mantra of sudden change in our program. And what's really awesome is starting in March when we had this first Zoom meeting with our team and talking about the opportunities that are in front of us. There are obstacles, but we can turn them into opportunities if we do this better than everybody else. Our kids have responded just amazingly. I had a meeting with them virtually today, and just telling them over and over, I just am astonished and amazed at the resilience in this group, the positivity in this group. And so to your point, when you're together, you got to make every day count. You got to have a great plan. You got to know exactly what is important right now, and you got to go out and attack it. And I feel really, really good about all the different levels of work, from virtual to sending them workouts to having the small group setting to advancing to the mid-sized group, not being able to have our offense and defense together until darn near, August, but then getting 3 really, really good weeks of work in like you saw the other day, and, feel really good about where we are and just looking forward to, finally getting to kick that thing off.
Hey, Coach Clack, Doug Konkel, I want to go ahead and thank you, for one of the best memories I've ever had broadcasting sports when I called your upset of Colquitt County for the state title a couple years back. A tremendous memory. I know you'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It was really the best time I've ever had in the booth watching that game. And one of the things that really shone through in that game was something we're talking about right now, and that is your attention to detail and how important the little things are into the overall success of the team. Is there any one or two details right now that you worry about more than others about being able to maintain during this unusual time and preparing your team?
I would say the 3 details is basically your overall conditioning, just being able to start and stop. You talk about lifting weights and your strength. You normally can maintain that for 2-3 weeks without drastic drop-offs, as long as you're not, completely sedentary. But, when the type of shape we get into, and we run a lot, and we take a lot of pride in that, you can start losing and seeing diminish of those gains in 48 hours to 72 hours if you're not staying with it. So I would say number 1, just the type of shape that we're accustomed to being in. But number 2 and 3 is tackling and ball security. I mean, those little details that win football games, you're going to have to be smart enough to figure out your scheme and figure out how advanced you can get and how dialed back you can get. It doesn't take a lot of scheme to win if you do it right. But there's no substitution for tackling and ball security. You're going to win and lose football games with that right there.
Coach Chris Mooneyham here. I actually was about to bring up tackling and ball security. By my numbers, I got a final stat pack on you guys, so we'll see if I've got these numbers correct. I know I'm going to be close. You guys enter 2020 having lost your top 5 tacklers, 9 of 20 roughly from last year, but you're in a great spot now at Milton where you guys, I know sometimes coaches hate to hear the term reload program. Some coaches love it, obviously. No matter what you think about it, you guys are in a good spot now in the history of this program to where you can sustain losses like that and still be a top 10 caliber team. How do you feel about your 2020 version of the Eagles?
We're really excited about this group. And, to your point, good teams should lose 5 or 6 of their top tacklers.
Right.
Every year you should have a senior class that's primed and ready to go. And that's just the nature of the beast. And you love that. You love those seniors to come in and produce. But what we try to do in our program, we have a 2-position philosophy, and it's kind of unique. Not everybody's going to play offense. Not everybody's going to play defense. Nobody's going to start both ways. But starting in spring, man, we're teaching those guys 2 positions so that we can make sure that we can get them on the field when needed. I'm sure we're going to talk about LT here in a little bit.
Oh, we definitely are.
Rusty's already moving up into the mic to ask you that question.
Yeah, we'll save that one for a minute.
But by doing that, and then with our special teams, we're able to get lots of guys reps. I believe in getting your best players on the field when it matters the most. I mean, you talk about the 2018 game. Paul Tio is going to play 20 snaps on defense in that, especially when they're inside the 20. That's the other thing. You got to win that red zone. So that's when you load up and put your bullets in there. But between those 20s, I want to see 22 guys starting. I want to see guys rolling in. I want to see lots of people playing. And I think that's how you develop a program.
Coach, there's going to be times when people are going to say the football gods were not with you and the football gods are with you. Last November, when a young man walked into your school as a freshman, and I mean a specimen walks into your school, talk a little bit about LT Overton, who I've got a chance to meet. I had specific talks with you. It's no secret now he's the #1 sophomore in the country. He is the only sophomore we have ever invited to the All-American Bowl before his sophomore year in Georgia on the defensive side. We invited Eric Gilbert after his sophomore year, but as a defensive player, wanted to be in tight end. But talk a little bit about, once I met him and everything you told me, this kid is special. And I'm not talking about just on Friday nights. This young man, tell the story about him saying not coaching hard enough. It just gave me chills to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's certain guys who are blessed with DNA, and there's a lot of those guys who are blessed with DNA, and they walk in and they look the part. But I tell you what this young man, he's been surrounded with great people his whole life. He comes from a strong family who definitely pour into him in every way that they can.
Dad played Oklahoma, mom played volleyball at Kentucky, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Not bad genes.
And no, great genes, obviously. But, the word I guess I would use is stoic. I mean, he just comes in and you can tell there's a different look in his eye. And his mom told me, she goes, he's quiet, but don't worry. He's listening. He is always listening. And she is spot on because he wants to be coached. He wants to be worked. And when they were he came in and he played basketball on, the #3 team in the state, who started 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores. He's one of the freshmen, averaging a double-double. And at the end of the season, when our basketball coach, Coach Whitehart, asked him in their exit interview, basically what do you need from us, or what's your take on the season? He said, Coach, I just wish y'all coached me a little bit harder.
I mean, that's
thinking man, I was getting after you.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
You don't hear that as a freshman. You don't hear that much, fellas.
Right.
And we had a Saturday practice the other day, and we've been trying to go in the evenings because I'm a little worried about the heat acclimation and things of that nature. And we ended up going kind of early noon time, and it got really hot. We got after it, and then we had a good run afterwards. And there's guys that are just gassing, and that was the point. And you can just see it in a kid like his eyes. He loves that. It's like it's like a sled dog, when he's tired, that he knows he put in a good day's work. And, that's a really cool and powerful combination when you got somebody with that type of DNA, but also that type of mentality. So
he's going to be he's special to watch. I know you're going to enjoy that one. I'll never forget Joey King telling me when Trevor Lawrence was a sophomore, he said, we know every day to enjoy this. This is something different, and not trying to and he's the #1 player in the country. I'm not shying away from that. He's got 3 more years of high school football, but there's something different about that young man. And I know you guys in Milton are excited to coach him for 3 more years.
And I tell you another thing about that, it's kind of like I was an old wrestling coach too. It's kind of like a wrestling room. When you get guys like that, there's going to be somebody else who's going to be right there with them, and they're going to sharpen each other.
Oh yeah,
right.
And that's what I see going on in our team right now. And it's not just LT. It's Jack Nickel.
Yeah, young man committed to Notre Dame, by the way.
Devin Farrell. It's Jordan McDonald. I mean, we've got guys who are young and talented, and they're hungry, and it's a healthy one-upsmanship. They are competing with each other every single day. Just trying to get after it to get better, but then also celebrate one another, and that's what we're all about at Milton.
One more, Coach, and then we'll get ready for the top of the hour. You actually sort of brought it up again. You kind of led me into the question. I want to know your thoughts on kids playing. You got a future in this business. What's your thought on kids playing multiple sports? You got a handful, maybe even 6 or 7 guys on your roster who will play this year, at least some semblance of snaps, who are basketball players, multiple sport kids. That was the first time I had the opportunity to see LT. Last year was in the state semifinals, as a matter of fact, when I was on the play-by-play duties. I couldn't believe him then. And then I started thinking about all the kids that were on both the basketball team and the football team. What are your thoughts on multi-sport kids not specializing in just one sport?
Well, I think that you could see that's from the culture of the school first and foremost. Milton, just by happenstance, was hiring 3 the big 3 coaches, basketball, football, and baseball all in the same year. And you could tell that, obviously I am a big proponent of it. And that was something that probably came through in my interview, but so is Coach Whitehart with basketball, Coach Husing with baseball, and our lacrosse team as well. So that's clearly something from Coach Silvestri and Principal Jones that they were looking for, and they found guys who supported that. But taking it a step further, I've always said it, I was a 3-sport guy. But when I look back on my early career, I didn't put my money where my mouth was. I was constantly loading guys up in the offseason, making them feel guilty if they missed football, but then telling them I wanted to play other sports. We've gone above and beyond, I believe, with working with coaches, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, and sometimes it stinks, man. Sometimes you go to a 7-on-7 and you're missing 2 guys, or sometimes, you got to work out and you don't get all your guys in the weight room in the winter. But, I came to understand that if I have the best guys on my team in August, that we're going to be pretty darn good in November. And that's kind of what matters the most to me.
I want to say, Coach Clagg, thank you. We had to book you early in the week. We had to get our people with all of your people, your agency, to get approval. So we appreciate the 3 or 4 days approval we got to have you on tonight, man. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Gave me a lot of time to put in some work, man.
That's right. No, I love it.
Very high level.
Yeah, I love it. And I love your answer, Coach, about multi-sport athletes. That's a great thing to hear, because I know several of them. I have one. It's important to those kids to be able to get on both fields, because they really do love every game that they're able to play. And I just appreciate that coming from a head coach.
Yeah, and I say this, and maybe it sounds sacrilege as a football coach, but you don't have to love football as much as I do to be on my team. As long as you can commit and do what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it, you can love baseball more. You can love basketball more. You can love lacrosse more, and still be a great football player and contribute to the team.
No doubt about it. Coach Clack from Milton High School, we appreciate your time, man. Go hit them hard, and y'all have a great season.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Right, thank you, Coach.
Dude, what a breath of fresh air that guy is. When you hear coaches talking about that, and he doesn't come off as somebody who's just saying that. Yeah. That he's just placating because he's supposed to say that. He genuinely believes that it's okay that when you go to a 7-on-7, some of the guys aren't there because they are playing something different.
Do you know how many people gave Milton a chance to beat Colquitt a couple years ago?
Probably not many.
No.
Outside of Milton.
He talked about how much he loves football. I know that for a fact. The first time I met him was signing day, about 3 weeks after he won that game. Walked up to him at Sports and Social across the street here. Yep. Shook his hand and said, hey, Coach, that was just a tremendous game. He wanted to sit down and start breaking it down.
Yeah.
He was like, what did you think about our coverage in that third down play in the third quarter? I mean, he went into detail.
I have told him this story. I was on the Colquitt sideline the first half of that game. And I'll be honest with you, I gave Milton no chance. I mean, that was the best Colquitt team by far, and that was the best team that's been in Georgia. 12 of their 15 games were running clocks. Mm-hmm. So I'm on this Colquitt sideline, and by the third series, let me just say that staff,
I know what you're going to say,
were having very heated discussions, and they were very confused. Mm-hmm. They were very confused at what Milton was doing to them.
Yeah.
And it got to where there was people not making the best decisions on that sideline. It carried over into the locker room of that
Cost some people their jobs.
And next thing you know, they were beat. Yeah. And that started with Adam Clack and that whole preparation for that week. Because I'm telling you right now, I'd have bet my house, 401ks.
Not if you would have called me. I'm just saying. I don't want to brag, but there is one guy in the room who gave him a chance. And
I will back him up. He did say it.
Yeah.
And remember, Milton knew it. Milton wasn't supposed to be good enough to even get to that game. That's why nobody gave him a chance.
Milton and Archer were my darlings that year. I got one of them to win a state title, and the other one got to the semifinal.
You got him. I'm
just telling you.
There's a difference in saying I thought it was happening,
my
and then I helped
support
them to do
means
it.
a lot to these teams.
Well, it wasn't a USA-Russia upset, 1980.
Yeah, right.
But the majority of the state, man, they're just not happening because when Konkel came out, I was like, oh,
we're talking about a team that was maybe going to be number one in the nation if they win that game.
You know the big deal, what they were arguing about all week, they were trying to figure out who they were going to play the next week in the ESPN game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They wanted the whole week they were arguing they did not want to get on a plane. They wanted somebody to come to Colquitt.
Yeah.
And little old Milson just sitting out there going, okay, that's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
Be worried about that. And
that's right.
Sure enough, man.
It was great.
A tremendous win for that community.
I remember watching it, seeing it, listening to it, and seeing our very own Brandon Joseph on the sideline there at the stadium. It was really remarkable to relive that.
One of these days, I'll write a book on what I saw coming out of the locker room on the Colquitt side afterwards. Boy, it was not a pretty sight coming out of that locker room.
Again, it cost some guys some jobs.
It did. It's ultimately why he's not there anymore.
Yeah,
Things started snowballing there.
You're listening to the 680 The Fan High School Athletic Roundtable, brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and My MRI Guy with Rusty Mansell, Doug Konkel, and Chris Mooneyham. My name is Doug Cowart. We will come back and have conversations with the head coach from Miller Grove High School as well as Douglas County, the head coach there, and talk about how your kids can get recruited. How can they be seen, even in the, and I'll steal this from Mooneyham, even in the age of COVID, because that is a huge question. How do I get myself in front of coaches that matter, coaches that may want to have me play for them? Football for sure, but other sports as well. We'll talk about it next on The Fan, 680 and 93.7.
Wondering if the 6 games a week your kid is pitching are going to affect them later in life? I'm your guy. Go to mymriguy.com now.
The Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show, every Friday during football season, heard across the state of Georgia from 10 p.m. to midnight. Starting September 4th, running through the entire high school football season. Go to 680thefan.com/scoreboard show for a full list of affiliates.
Jeff Francoeur here. From my early days playing GHSA ball to my 13 years in the major leagues, I know the importance of supporting your home state and being part of a team. Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team, helping Georgia build a strong agriculture industry and offering affordable home, auto, and life insurance for Georgia families. With agents and volunteers in every community of the state, Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team. Visit Georgia Farm Bureau online at gfb.org to learn more.
staff is here to get you the latest updates. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable presented by Georgia Farm Bureau and MyMRIGuy.com with Doug Cowart, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell exclusively on The Fan.
Our roundtable coverage on The Fan brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and My MRI Guy. And I appreciate certainly Mooneyham and Doug Konkel, Rusty Mansell being here. My name is Doug Cowart. We're going to get to Miller Grove head coach Lee Hanna in just a moment, but I want you to know that probably about 8:45, so about 40 minutes from now, we're going to get into a topic of conversation about your kid. How do you get your kid recruited? How does your child, the kid that you've watched play football or other sports since they were little bitty, how do they get a college scholarship, especially in 2020 when there's so many restrictions and so many hoops and obstacles? We'll get Rusty Mansell, who is an expert in that field to begin with. We'll get his take on how to do that. We'll do that at 8:40. First now, let's head to Miller Grove and talk to the head coach, Lee Hanna. Head coach Hanna, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for jumping in with us.
Do we have coach?
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. We'll
get him.
We'll get him in just a moment.
Yeah.
We'll get him in just a moment. But, being recruited, I think, is something that is on the minds of kids every day. And it's on the mind of my son who plays ball. He plays football and baseball at Alpharetta. And I know by social media that all of these kids are continuously putting out huddle videos and putting out videos. So just the possibility of somebody like Jeff Collins, who was on with us earlier, being able to see their film and go, you know what, that kid's got a chance.
Well, Lee Hanna's a great guy to talk about when it comes to this. You know, not everybody is Colquitt County. Not everybody is Lowndes. Not everyone is Valdosta, Marietta, all of these bigger programs. A lot of these coaches take over these programs, go to these programs knowing that they're trying to build something brick by brick, like Miller Grove likes to say all the time, trying to help kids get an education to try to just further their lives simply. Go to a D2 program. Go wherever you can go and get an education.
Coach Hanna joining us on the Fan, the High School Athletic Roundtable. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Can you jump in and maybe piggyback on that a little bit, just talking about what you're doing there at Miller Grove to make sure that your guys are being seen in a tough time to be able to connect with anyone?
Our guys, like you said, first of all, thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
It's an honor to be on this show and be around some great individuals like yourself. But more importantly, you got to be the face of the program. I'm always in contact with college coaches and so forth. They're on the recruiting team. They're at camps, urging you to attend the right camps, because sometimes it can be about a financial gain. Kids need exposure. All of the internet source that are available it's important. You know, he's seen there. Like I tell my kids all the time, there's a school for everybody. It may not be the one for you, but that you think you should go to, but there's a school for everybody.
Yeah, we talk all the time, Coach. Coach Lee Hanna from Miller Grove joining us. Chris Mooneyham here. Thanks for being with us. I love this dude. I love talking to him. He gets me fired up every time we speak. Coach, we talk all the time about building programs, trying to change a culture. That's part of what you're doing there at Miller Grove. Tell us about how it's going.
It's going. It's going. In which direction, I don't know, but it's going.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been good. And I say that jokingly. It's been good. This school has been known as a basketball program.
Right.
Well, my kids now are buying into the academic process. You know, there's a grade GPA number system on my board that kids know about now. You know, it's just academics matter to me. You know, we do study table Monday through Wednesday, something that I've gained from my mentors, and Corey Jarvis, Coach Rodney Walker, and so forth, that grades matter. In the 3 years at Baldwin, I got 18 kids in school. That was most in a 3-year span. Well, here at Miller Grove, in the 2 years I've been here, we've been third in the county each year when it came to grades. And that's not by accident. You know, it's because I make it a priority. And my kids know that. At the end of the day, I call it a domino effect. If you're not taking care of your academics, coaches can't see you. If coaches can't see you, you're not getting a scholarship. If you're not getting a scholarship, you're back on Panola Drive or Covenant Highway. So again, grades matter.
Hey, Coach Doug Konkel here.
And again, I want to speak. I'm sorry, Chris.
No, keep going.
Keep going, that. Because my administration, I had a coach once tells me, chase administration, not athletes. Because if we're not buying in on the same page, then we're not going in the same direction. So my administration, I have administration here, Dr. Ursay, and the rest of the administration that supports what we're doing here. We support our kids. At the end of the day, it's about academics, ensuring that grades matter, holding kids accountable, and introducing respect, accountability, and making kids just do the right thing.
Well, Coach, I can tell long hours are part of this, too, because you're talking to us from your office still after 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm sure everyone appreciates the work that you put in. Your first game is scheduled, if things haven't changed, and things have changed quickly, as we already found out tonight. You're scheduled to take on Lakeside on the 11th of September, correct? Is that still on the books? Even you have to think about it.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
Because the CAV moved it back.
Right.
So we won't start until October, okay? We won't start until October. So we'll go October 9th against Druid Hills, and that's supposed to be homecoming for us. So that's the first game we'll get. I'm praying and hoping that I could schedule October 2nd game here before long. But again, it starts region play out the gate, October 9th against Druid Hills, supposedly for homecoming. And speaking on the CAB, they've tried to do it the right way. They have. We started summer workouts later than anybody. We're starting games later than anybody. So again, we try to do it the right way. Dr. Watson, our new superintendent, she has a tough decision to make, as all the superintendents. You're going to be criticized either way, whether you choose to play or whether you hold out. It's a tough decision to make sitting in that chair. But at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is our kids' safety. So I think, no one wants to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to put our lives in jeopardy. No, that's not the case. It's a tough decision that needs to be made, and they've tried to do it the right way and keep us protected and safe.
Coach Rusty Mansell here. We saw you were on the day. I went through some of your tape and some of your players. Haven't been out to Miller Grove in a couple of years. Tell me about Stephen Bacon. I like his tape. Watched him today. Tell me a little bit about him, what he's got going on, because I think that's a young man right now that looks like he's flying under the radar a little bit.
Rusty, you like him. I love him.
Okay.
He's a leader of this team, the defense. Last year, he was the defensive MVP. And it's funny you asked about him, Rusty. He literally texted me the other day, and he asked me, Coach, do you think I have what it takes to make it to the league? And I had to be honest with it. I'm a numbers and facts person.
Yep.
You got to look at your numbers, your stature, and so forth. A lot of times it doesn't balance up at that size. He's about 5'10", about 195, 200, but he's gotten faster. He's built. He's bought into the program. Coach, it's at a point now, I don't even call it defense. He calls it. So wow. He's smart. He's a 3.5 kid. Just a leader. Didn't take any days off. Started in the program as a sophomore, and he was forced to play. And he bought in last year. Was a heck of a player on defense and from the leadership aspect. And now he's taken it and just ran with it. Like you said, I've coached some good ones, and he's right up there with them now. Just a born leader on and off the field.
I'll get by there sooner than later, Coach. Promise you, and see if I can't help you jumpstart his recruiting a little bit.
Sounds good. I definitely appreciate it, Rusty.
Thank you.
Coach, maybe you could send him towards Presbyterian. What's a blue hose anyway? No, I already know the answer. I was going to say you should tell everybody, first of all, what a blue hose is. And, guys, here's something that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of Presbyterian guys that are coaching Presbyterian College. It is still college, right? It's been a while since I've covered them. That are coaching in this state. Tell everybody about this tree that's developed in the state of Georgia and over in West South Carolina as well. A lot of Presbyterian Blue Hose are coaching here in the state of Georgia.
Oh man, we're roaming the sidelines everywhere in the state of Georgia. Presbyterian Blue Hose is a Scotsman, like an Irishman, so to speak, but he's a warrior. Like you said, a lot of us in this state, a great friend of mine, Travis Smith, the AD at Douglas County, Alan Rodemaker down at Colquitt now.
He's at Colquitt now, yeah.
Former coach at Valdosta. Brett Garvin over at Sandy Creek, head coach over there. Corey Dickerson, defensive coordinator at Hart County. Benji Harrison at Habersham Central. Former head coach at Central Gwinnett, Todd Walford. That's a plethora of Blue Hose. Eric Godfrey at Parkview, the Gronkowski of the former heyday. That's what they call him. But it's a great bunch of guys and a great fraternity of Blue Hose out here that have paved the way for a lot of guys, and like you said, can always count on. There's never a day I can't reach out and speak football. It's just about life with these guys. Just great friends and great relationships that we've built over the years.
Coach, I appreciate your enthusiasm. It's so clear how much you love coaching, how much you love those kids. A lot of times it seems like all that coaches would care about is football, but that is not the case. Even if it's accused sometimes, and I appreciate the fact that you're so vocal about how much a good education means to a kid and how much that means to you and your program there at Miller Grove. We appreciate your time, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck. I hope you all hit them hard this year. Coach Hanna. There we go.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks, Coach.
It's so good to talk to him.
Ready for your history lesson real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the Blue Hose Presbyterian, the Scotch, and the Irish in the Carolinas were a big part of the volunteers that rose up and won the two critical battles in the South that turned the tide of the Revolutionary War. We would not be Americans were it not for the original Blue Hose.
There you go, man.
And
I love
did
it.
that. Stopped at Camden on my way on a family trip a couple years ago and bored my kids to death and learned a lot.
I love that stuff, though.
That's a lot of my old history, my old family history.
Oh, really?
That dates back into South Carolina, the Gastons and all that jazz. So I happen to know a little bit about it.
Man,
Covered some kids and some people who went to.
I wish I had some history. I don't have, I'm a Heinz 57, man. You want to talk about somebody that's got a little bit of everything in there? I always wanted to be that guy that could go find my genealogy and figure out where it was that I came from, and I can't.
Yeah, mine's in like a meat packing plant somewhere. That's about as good as I can do.
At least you know that. I don't even know. I know nothing.
Totally guess. I have no idea.
I don't know if I want to know where you're going with that, Doug.
One thing about back to Coach Hanna for a second. The one thing he said that really stuck with me was that when his player, the last name was Bacon. What's the kid's first name?
Stephen Bacon.
Stephen Bacon comes to him and asks him, "Do you think I can play in the league?" And Coach is just straight up like, "What? You're 5'10", 195."
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it, and you can think about it, but let's make sure. Right. Obviously, where he's going with that answer is you got to make sure you have options because the league is not an option for very many people when you get down to the numbers. Like he's saying, when you crunch the numbers, 1% of 1% is going to make it every year.
I may have some bad news here, guys, but I got to go ahead and divvy this out for anyone who may be listening. It's not Georgia related. That's the good news. I was talking to Rusty about this a little bit earlier. I think there's a real chance that the state of Kentucky is not going to start on time. And they're slated to start on September 11th. It looks like the Commonwealth is going to have a meeting tomorrow between their Department of Education and the KHSAA, and it doesn't look as though their season is going to start on time. The Kentucky Department of Education, apparently behind the scenes, is really pushing for them to not start the season on time. They're going to have some real butting of heads. I've got a guy up there who's been sending me information, and he said, Chris, this thing could get really, really ugly. Let me give you some numbers just really quick, Rusty, because I know you want to jump in here. 696 positive results, COVID-wise, just yesterday. 7 new deaths. I'll let you measure the numbers and whether you think that's a lot or not. I am not getting into that. I'm just giving you numbers. And the numbers in the Commonwealth have risen almost every day over the last 10 days, so that's bad news. And this comes on the heels of 10 new deaths attributed to the virus on Tuesday. The real concern for government officials is that a lot of the people who are contracting the virus over the last 10 days have been students. So, we've kept track of the Southeast. That's why I wanted to bring it up for all of us. There's so many people in Metro Atlanta in the state of Georgia that come, of course, to Metro Atlanta from our neighboring southern states. I figured I'd get that information out there.
It almost goes back to what Dr. Hines said in different areas.
Yeah,
there's different numbers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
of course.
Kentucky could be in a obviously with less population, but numbers like that is very serious. We talked about it with Dr. Hines 2 times in a row. Has he been watching Utah, Alabama, and Tennessee?
And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
When Georgia goes into the mix next week, because see, Florida doesn't start for another month. When the state of Georgia goes in, everybody in the country. Listen, I was on a conference call yesterday for these kickoff games next week.
Right.
And I'm telling you now, they've got this down to the detail. They know these games are going to be on TV. These games are going to be watched nationwide. They do not want to give someone a reason to end up a viral video for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They're going to be mandatory mask in the crowds. And as you enter the stadium for these kickoff games. So I think that Georgia and Kentucky will be a state that will probably watch what happens here as a kickoff. And it'll buy them some time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's okay if you delay until October the 1st. If you intend on playing those 6 or 7 region games and then go in the playoffs. Yeah. It's just that type of year.
Yeah, right? That's the thing, though. Delay you can handle, right? It's postponement or cancellation. That's what you don't want to hear. Delays, I mean, delay's not great, but like I would rather have delay than the worst.
Yeah. And Tug, you might have covered this at some point in your podcast about the coronavirus in general. But the governor of Kentucky, I think his name is Bashir, has been a guy who's really been aggressive since everything started. He was early in masks. He was so these numbers don't seem big to us. They seem big to him because Kentucky was a really good example of how to keep your numbers low for such a long time. And obviously this, by their terms, is an explosion. And I have no doubt he's the force behind the Department of Education making a move on the high school football season.
The other big part of this conversation, which we did not have last week, and I'm glad I just remembered this, that you have to get into is whether or not, if you're pushing back your season as a district, as a city, as a county, whatever it may be, are you receiving the backing of your high school association? Like Michigan also announced last week, I think it was at the end of last week, that they're going to play a spring schedule. Now they're like the 15th or 16th school.
They are intending to play.
That's
what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm getting into is, can you actually play in the spring, just like the same situation is with
North Carolina too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, can you actually do that like we're talking about with college football? And with high school football, it's a completely different animal when you've got kids that play lacrosse and play football.
Baseball.
Or basketball, because a lot of these states are going to be starting their football seasons at the end of January or the beginning of February, and they all play basketball then.
My guess is no. My guess is the answer is no.
I can't see it.
Me either. It doesn't make sense to me whatsoever that a kid is going to say. You're going to have to make the kid choose.
It'll be pandemonium if 16 states don't play football seasons this year.
Get ready for it then.
To paraphrase Nick Saban, it'll be JV ball.
Yeah.
It'll be JV ball.
Because baseball is going to take.
It is huge.
Kids are going to take they're going to have to pick a sport. And I know the numbers in the spring.
Yeah,
what's going to happen?
Yeah, baseball is so important, and look, that's another thing when we talk about getting your kids recruited, and I'm sure that you probably pay attention to that too, because Georgia is such a heavily recruited state for baseball across the country.
Huge.
In comparison, and I don't know the answer, so this is not a loaded question. In comparison, football, baseball, what is the difference? Football being the most recruited for the state?
Let me tell you. Let's talk a specific player, specific school. Dylan Longren.
No, I know Dylan well. He plays in the Georgia Jackets program. My son plays in as well.
All-American quarterback at
Brookwood High School.
Brookwood.
Lives right down the road from him.
If he had to choose, and I'm answering for him, could be wrong. If he had to choose in February, March, and April what to play, Dylan Longren's going to play baseball.
Yeah.
So what happens to the Brookwood program?
Right.
Your best option at quarterback in a long, many years is going to play baseball. And that could happen it's a hard situation to say we're going to play football in the spring because there's so much stuff going on.
And I think that
I can't see North Carolina. I cannot see them do it.
Me either. And I'll even take that further into the college football realm. I struggled to see a way that a spring program works at the college football level. And going back to what you said, Doug Konkel, is JV. It's a JV sport. If you don't have all your kids playing.
Yeah, the top athletes will be playing their other sports because those coaches are going to want their top athletes playing for them. Yep. And, we shouldn't discount because we're here in Georgia, but the states up the eastern seaboard, North Carolina is probably one of them. Lacrosse is a big deal.
Of course it is, yeah.
So that's as big a draw probably for a lot of those kids in Maryland, the state of Maryland for sure.
They don't have spring
as much
football.
as baseball.
They don't have spring football in North Carolina. So it tells you when December's over with, they're on another sport. You in the state of Georgia, coach is thinking, God, I hope our baseball team don't make the playoffs. So maybe we can have everybody back. I hope so-and-so don't make the 100 in state because we can get him back that first 2 weeks of spring practice.
That's a good one, too, is track. I mean, look at Nick Chubb. Look, another thing that you're going to find across the country is that some of these spring seasons are going to be 8-man football. Because they're not going to have as many. Some of the lower classifications in some of these states that are, middle tier talent-wise and middle tier population-wise, they're going to be playing eight-man football.
Vermont's going 7-on-7.
Are they really?
October 1st.
Wow.
Did they make? Okay.
7-on-7.
7-on-7.
You said Vermont.
Vermont.
Okay.
See, but that makes sense.
Maybe not a football powerhouse for a state.
That makes sense.
Those kids are playing.
Those kids are playing.
That's
right.
right.
No, you're exactly right.
All 5 schools will be playing. Yeah.
Exactly right. All right, we're going to bring.
Bernie will be happy.
That's right. We're going to bring Johnny White on. He is Douglas County head coach. Coach White, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate the expertise that you bring to the show and all that you do for the kids there at Douglas County. How's the season going to look for you guys this year?
First of all, thank you for having me. I don't know about expertise, but I can talk a little bit.
Now, come on now. I believe it.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're trying to do everything to stay right within the lines of, we do a good job of social distancing. What we added to our program, which has really helped, is how the kids will circle up in the middle and you have your little conversations. We're putting them in stretch lines 5 yards apart and going through a stretch routine at the end of practice. Then they all take a knee in that stretch line. So they're 5 yards apart and all over the field. And I had to go buy a megaphone so I can talk to all of them at one time. We're not doing, of course, water bottles. Our parents have been doing a good job of just buying the little 8-ounce bottle waters, 80. So we get those in packages of 80, but we actually been going through probably about 400 to 500 of those a day.
Good gracious. Coach Rusty Mansell, got a chance to see you for about 8 or 9 minutes last week?
if it was that long.
Oh, man, I come to practice, and we get out there, and, of course, everybody's – and what Coach is talking about, separate. Had one defensive group here, everybody's spread out. I see a cloud coming up, and I'm like, man, that looks a little thick. Looks like it's got a little hammer to that. And about 10 minutes later, it rained as hard as I've seen it rain in Georgia in a long, long time. But I will say this.
I haven't seen that in a while.
I'll say this. And, Coach, I want you to talk about this. There's a lot of construction going on in Douglas County. And I said, Coach, what in the world is going on right there? And he flips his phone out, and he shows me what they're building, an indoor there with a weight room and he's getting a brand-new home visitor side bleachers at Douglas County. Coach, talk a little bit about this, because I'm telling you, what you showed me on your phone is going to be a huge, huge asset to your program and your kids.
Oh, no question. I'm blessed. Our superintendent, when he came in, said that one of the issues in the county was, believe it or not, is with 5 schools, nobody meets the attendance requirements. So because of that,
for playoff games, correct? Playoff games.
Playoff games,
yep.
Exactly. So he, with us being the oldest school, and who knows how long that facility has been there. I know we have a basketball coach named Chet Forrest, who's the girls' basketball coach, who's been here since '73, and he said it was there when he was there.
Wow.
So Exactly. So they tore everything down. We're getting a brand new facility with Hall of Fame room, 100-seat theater meeting room, 260-seat offensive and defensive meeting rooms, coaches' offices, showers, brand new 125-man locker room. They're going to give us some space for probably a 40, 50-yard indoor facility, brand new weight room. So
it's special now.
We're very excited. We're very excited.
So I was there for 8 minutes, 6 minutes. We looked at that. And we both wanted to hug each other because I was so happy for him and his kids. Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
telling you now, this is a great facility they're about to get.
That's cool.
Yeah, and good kids out there, too. That's the other thing about it. Building a program, they continue to get –
tough.
Yeah, they continue to get – part of what the key is, Coach, and we talk about this all the time, keeping kids in your school. Keeping them in the program, not letting some of the best players move out of the program and go to the flashier, already established programs. So how's that going?
I mean, it's going well for us. I mean, we haven't lost a whole bunch of kids since we've been here. It was funny. Our first year here in 2016, we ended up having 2 guys signed D1s. One went to Liberty and one went to Arkansas State. But there were 8 other guys that we knew about who signed, 5 of them Power 5, who signed Power 5 scholarships, who all started off their high school career at Douglas County. So we wanted to make sure that we did everything in our power, from recruiting, from social media, working that, from making sure they're in great academic standing, from pushing them and showing them to the best of our ability to how college practice goes. So I think we've been doing a great job of that. We got a great senior class, got some young guys coming up that are going to be special. So I'm very happy where we're at. But like I tell everybody, I want to get this program to the point that regardless of the win-loss record, when you hear the name, you're expecting something special.
Hey, Coach Doug Konkel here. Are you still on for Lithia Springs now next Friday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We go there on the 4th.
Tell me about it's been a long journey to get 8 days away from that opening game. Tell me about how the kids are feeling now. What's the focus like? Is it easier to keep them doing all the right things now that you're this close?
Oh, no question. I mean, when we got back in June, we started a week later, so everybody started on the 8th week. But not everybody. A lot of counties started on the 8th. I kind of let them start on the 15th. And it was, even as a coach, you're pushing them and you're going through everything, but you don't know if you're going to have a season. And, you're taking all the precautions and you're doing everything the best of your ability. And the kids, were worried. And I would get texts every night, Coach, you think we're going to play? Coach, are we really going to play? And I didn't have an answer for them. And then they always say, well, what's your thought process on that? And I told them, just like I tell everyone else, I would love to play football. That's why I'm a football coach. That's what I love to do. But at the same time, I have a 15-year-old daughter who's my only child that I like to walk down the aisle one day. And me being a diabetic, I don't want to put myself or my family in a situation to where either I'm not here or I get someone that's sick. Like my mother-in-law lives with us, and she's in her mid-70s. So my thing is I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. They want us to play, I'm going to play 100%. I'm going to do everything. If they tell us to shut it down, then I got to get these film on all these kids. Thank God I got practices where I can try to sell these kids to the right program.
Coach, you brought it up. I'm glad you brought it up before I brought it up, because then I would have felt strange bringing it up. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but we've heard from a lot of coaches saying that they don't know if we should go out and play. They don't know if they should go out and coach. They have situations like yours. You mentioned it. You're a diabetic. Your mother's living in the house with you. But you and I were speaking on the phone last week, and we were speaking candidly, as we do every time that we get together and talk. And you told me, and I'm not going to have it verbatim, but you basically said, Chris, I can't leave the kids behind. I have to be there for the kids. Yeah, I'm worried, but I have to be there for the kids. Talk about that and the strains of keeping the team together in these worrisome times.
I mean, the main thing for me is, like, I came from a single-parent household. My mother had 3 children, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, even though I played football and football was my better sport, I loved basketball. And my middle school and high school basketball coach changed my life. He told me that I could make something out of myself. He told me that I had a chance to go to college. And until you hear that, and until you see that, you don't believe it. So all I know is my thing is like I tell you, I love wins and losses. I would love to win a state championship. But I know getting some of these young men a chance to go to school for free is not saving their lives. It's a generational change. Because now they're going to be able to have a child or get married and have children that are not even going to recognize the socioeconomic situation that they grew up in. So my thing is, while we're playing, my job is to make sure that I stress to these kids the importance of academics and make sure that I use every avenue in my power, and all my coaches use every avenue in their power to make sure that we give these guys a chance to go to college. I don't care what level.
Love it.
My thing is I learned the best from one of my good college friends, Trooper Taylor, who used to always say, if it's free, give me 3. So my thing is, if it's a free education, we're not shooting our nose up at it. We're not turning it down. Like I told him, I said, mine changed my life. And I got $100 in my pocket if anybody can tell me what city Liberty University is in.
There you go.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're exactly right.
It doesn't matter. What matters is that degree you can put on your wall.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's all I'm concerned about.
We're talking to Douglas County head coach Johnny White, and you talked about Liberty. You talked about Arkansas State. You talk about that diploma on the wall, and I talk about it with my own son who plays college or high school football. And I say at some point you're going to have to stop playing this game, whether it's you're going to Canton and you have to hang it up, or it's at the end of your run in high school or after college or whatever that is. What are you doing, though, Coach, other than preaching the gospel when it comes to good grades and the importance of academics, to get your kids an extra look, to talk to coaches that you can reach out to and say, hey, I've got a kid that I think has the ability to play at Liberty or Arkansas State or Georgia Tech or Georgia or Clemson or whatever? What is it that you're doing to help those kids?
Well, first thing we're doing is basically making sure that those grades are on point, because that's my thing. If the grades aren't on point, it's not going to matter. And the second thing that we do is build relationships. The one thing I think that me and a lot of guys that I know real well are sticklers on is, and I tell my kids, I am not going to lie for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're not at that level, either academically or athletically, when that school comes in, I'm not going to push you over because I can't.
Right.
Because my word means something.
Yes, sir.
Because it's going to come down to where they're on the fence about a kid, and the coach be like, "Are you going to put your name on?" And I worked 25 years for this name, so if I put my name on you, what I'm telling that coach is he's going to do everything that's expected out of your program, and I just can't risk putting that name on. So I'm always going to be brutally honest with my kids, brutally honest with their parents, and brutally honest with colleges about what our kids have to offer. And I think that honesty helps out because they can come and I can be honest and say, Coach, I ain't got nothing that you're looking for right now. And that's a true statement, and that saves them time. They come in, they speak, and they can move elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
What I also try to do is during our Thursday walkthrough practices, I try to bring in a guest speaker that is not football related. Whether he's a cop, whether he's a lawyer, whether he's an electrician, and just give them some avenues to let them know that, first of all, your college is great and you can be very successful coming out of college. But there's also some other great jobs that you can be financially stable and just as successful that does not require a college education, but it's going to require work. So, I love that. We try to hit every avenue we can to try to make these kids successful. Because my job right now in this year is, would I love doing a state championship? Yes, I would. But my line is I'm trying to make great employees, I'm trying to make great husbands, and I'm trying to make great fathers.
The thing I've known Coach White for many, 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 many years, and the thing I admire about him, he's got two young men right now, Jonathan Jefferson and Connie Walker, two, one committed to Georgia, one's committed to Louisville. He treats them like they're not committed anywhere. Mm-hmm. Every single kid is treated the same. And the exact same expectations, hustling in practice for everybody. And that's why Coach White is successful, because it doesn't matter who you are. You're treated the same. I've seen him for years. I've seen him where he's worked my camps. I've seen him in different settings. He treats everybody the exact same way. So I know without even going to talk to those kids how much they respect him. What a brilliant idea he just talked about, bringing in different people. I've never heard that.
No, me either.
I've never heard that.
Amazing.
Can you imagine somebody brought an electrician into me in high school? I'd been like, Coach, whatever, man.
Yeah, right.
I'm not wiring anything. Those guys make great money.
Yeah,
what a living electrician makes. So,
no, you're right.
Coach, kudos to you, man. I appreciate you always accommodating me. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna stay longer than 8 minutes, but
that wasn't your fault or my fault. The Lord said get off the field, so we had.
There was no doubt. Hey, I'll tell you this.
The Lord says it.
I'm gonna tell you this. We're sitting there and we're talking, and when that thing popped. Coach had 1-4-4 left in him, and I watched my man blow that whistle, and everybody on that team was hauling butt. It was 100 kids plus me and him, and everybody was gone because that lightning popped, and it was close.
Yeah, how about that?
Yep. Coach, really quick before we let you go, you've got another challenge that you're having to deal with this year. You talk about all this construction. You guys are not playing a true home game this year. Tell everybody about it.
Not at all. We'll be playing. We have 4 away games. And we did that on purpose. We didn't want to go even, so we're going to play 4 home games that are actually going to be away. We're going to play 1 at Lithia Springs and the other 3 at New Manchester. So, and that kind of helps us out with all the development and everything. So that'll help us, because hopefully that next year we'll have 6 home games and possibly a scrimmage or maybe a spring game. Because the rest of you see this, like I told you, I believe it when I see it, but they still telling us that March 31st, this thing will be done.
I can't wait to see it because I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a special the meeting rooms. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, man!
Yeah,
wow,
first class. There we go. That's the way it should be there at Douglas County.
So Coach, you said your first game is on. You guys have Lithia Springs, and where is that game?
that's our Lithia, and then because I live in Henry County, it looks like I was crazy to schedule 2 Henry County schools back to back.
There you go.
We go to Lithia, we go to Stockbridge, and then I'm going to bring Dutchtown to New Manchester.
We've got an opener. We've got an opening for our opener, so you might be hearing from me here in the next few days.
Okay, good deal. We appreciate it.
Hey, we got a side bet between you and Corey next week. What's the deal?
No, ain't no side bet. There's no side bet. He's one of my good friends.
Great guy.
He's done a tremendous job.
Yes, he has. Yes,
and you don't want to take his money. He's that good a friend. So you're very nice.
There you go. Coach Johnny White, Douglas County head coach. Coach, we appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck this season.
All right, thank you.
See you soon,
sir.
Coach. Thank you.
Goodness gracious, what a blessing to talk to a guy like that, man. There's
10 or 12 that I just really, really like. I mean, just consider my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny White,
he's one of them.
Dating back to Creekside.
Yeah.
That's a dude now.
There you go. You're listening to the 680 High School Athletic Roundtable, brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and my MRI guy, along with Doug Konkel, Chris Mooneyham, and Rusty Mansell. My name is Doug Cowart. When we come back, how do you get your kid recruited? How does your child get on the radar of a college football coach in the age of COVID, when there's so many obstacles and so many things that you have to overcome? We will tell you the answer to that question next on The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Wondering if the 6 games a week your kid is pitching are going to affect them later in life? I'm your guy. Go to mymriguy.com now.
The Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show, every Friday during football season, heard across the state of Georgia from 10 p.m. to midnight. Starting September 4th, running through the entire high school football season. Go to 680thefan.com/scoreboard show for a full list of affiliates.
Jeff Francoeur here. From my early days playing GHSA ball to my 13 years in the major leagues, I know the importance of supporting your home state and being part of a team. Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team, helping Georgia build a strong agriculture industry and offering affordable home, auto, and life insurance for Georgia families. With agents and volunteers in every community of the state, Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team. Visit Georgia Farm Bureau online at gfb.org to learn more.
Download the Fan app now. Sponsored by T-Mobile for both Apple and Android. We've got the latest news and updates from around the world of high school sports. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable, presented by Georgia Farm Bureau and MyMRIGuy.com with Doug Cowart, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell, exclusively on The Fan.
Appreciate you joining us and talking about high school sports. They're so important in the state of Georgia, and there's so many questions. This is the one question I've gotten more than any other. And I don't know why people come to me, because I don't know the answer. I'm trying to find out the answer myself for a kid that loves playing baseball and has started playing football and doing a pretty good job there. I have wondered, what is the process to get my kid seen, right? And that question was a viable. I mean,
you mean normally? You mean normally, just without COVID?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like without COVID, it's already a complicated question. And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong, but I know there's a lot of different ways to do it. Throw in COVID-19 and it changes the game altogether, because you can't do 7-on-7s and you can't do this, that, or the other thing. And that's why I've asked coaches all night, what are you doing to get your kids seen? Coach Collins from Georgia Tech, when we had him on, the head coach of the Jackets, what is it that you're doing to see kids throughout the state of Georgia? So we have the expert on the show. Might as well ask him, Rusty Mansell. Rusty, what do parents need to be doing? What do they need to be encouraging their kids to do? What is it that student athletes need to do to get a college scholarship offer and actually land a scholarship to go play ball somewhere?
The first thing, and I've had multiple conversations in the last 2 weeks with close friends that have kids that are 2021s. Mm-hmm. The first thing I tell them right now is to breathe. Mm-hmm. Just relax a little bit, because here's what's going on. These teams are in camp mode. Mm-hmm. So the entire August, if these colleges are playing, they're in camp mode. September, they're going to start playing games. Okay? Recruiting is to a crawl right now. To a crawl. If you're fortunate enough, your school is playing right now, get into your season. Don't worry about anything else that's going on. You can't even take a visit if you want to. Mm-hmm. You cannot meet with I don't care if you're the number one player in the country. Corey Foreman was at Georgia this weekend. Mm-hmm. He did not sit or step foot in front of Kirby Smart or any of that UGA staff. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion, and what I talked to multiple coaches, get 3 or 4 games into the season. 3 or 4 games will get you into October. Take you about a minute and a half, and cut you up 10 plays. Mm-hmm. Then go to Twitter with it. Tag that South Alabama coach. Tag that Kennesaw State coach. Most likely, if you reach for the stars and you tag Georgia football, somebody's going to see it. But make sure you're on the right level. Am I okay playing at Tennessee Martin? Is my kid okay playing at Furman?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Be strategic with it.
Yeah.
But every single day, if you just keep dropping highlights, you're going to get muted. You're going to get muted.
Yep.
You go on there and say, season update, 4 games, 6'2", 185-pound, fully qualified wide receiver. Somebody's going to watch it.
Right.
Use Twitter to your advantage, but right now, just breathe and enjoy your senior season.
And I'll say one of the most frustrating things, I know Rusty deals with it a lot. I deal with it a little bit too. And you could tell, our coaches we talk to, they deal with it as well, or what he just kind of alluded to is kids or their parents, it can be either one, not really being honest with themselves about what their level is.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get your head in the stars. Now, I will say this, though, it's not a bad thing to tag one dream school.
Sure.
Because you know what, that GA that sees your film, he probably didn't start at Georgia.
Yep.
He's probably got friends who are GAs at South Alabama and Kennesaw State.
Charleston.
He might, because I know that, that happens too. They pass guys around. This guy's, he's not for us, but he might be for you. Check it out. Mm-hmm. So that happens a lot as well. But yeah, the kids have got to be realistic. The parents have got to be realistic about where they are. And here's the hard part, though. The COVID factor is, if you're a late bloomer in 21, it is the worst time to be a late bloomer, because you didn't get camp season over the summer.
Right, but you still, you got, that is a valid point, but you're still kind of a level playing field, because nobody did.
True. Mm-hmm. Very true.
Georgia was not able to adjust their board to say, hey, we got 7 wide receivers. 3 of these guys were late bloomers. Georgia didn't get a chance to work those kids out. So it is a bad year, but it's also everybody is in the same boat. And if the state of Georgia is playing and we play it's going to be an advantage to our kids to get opportunities.
Sure, and that applies across the spectrum of sports, not just football. Because we've talked football mainly tonight, but I think anybody listening,
volleyball is going on right now.
That's right. You got baseball coming up. I think that's the thing that I want to make the most clear is that applies to all sports.
And let's not forget something that's happened in football recently, but it happened in the spring sports a few months ago. Everybody got an extra year of eligibility in college. That's going to trickle down to these recruiting classes right now and for the next couple of years as well. So, Rusty, do you think that's going to lead to more of a competition for that junior college spot now or that prep school spot?
Like a bottleneck a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that a junior college coach in Mississippi football, where it's great junior college football, I think he's going to have more options than he's ever had when it comes to finding a kid to play next year.
Roster management on many levels is going to change in the next 2 years. It's going to be so important. But here's something we don't even have time to discuss tonight, but we all know next January when this transfer rule comes into college football, it's going to change it more than anything you've ever seen. So you throw in, you got a bunch of seniors. So let's just take Sam Pittman. Let's take Sam Pittman at Arkansas real quick. Sam Pittman's recruiting his first full class, okay, the 2021 class. He's recruiting his seniors to stay, the ones that he needs to stay, the one that feels like they've got to stay. Then Sam Pittman's got to decide in that transfer portal, wait a minute, do I go out and get a left tackle somewhere? Do I go out and get a linebacker somewhere? How many spots do I save? So now you're a head coach and you got to decide how many you're going to take in 2021, how many of your seniors you're going to try to bring back because they all can come back. It doesn't mean they're all coming back. And then what do you do with the transfer portal? So college football, the landscape, it's about to change forever.
And one thing that's going to happen with that transfer rule is not only is there going to be a huge readjustment as personnel goes from one place to the other, there's going to be spots open up because there's going to be some kids who enter the portal and never land anywhere. That's going to happen a bunch too. Yeah, that had going on now. It's going to be magnified when everybody could transfer.
Taking and to your point about the extra year of eligibility, who is at the greatest disadvantage, do you believe? The people that are there already or the people coming in? Because I contend it's the people coming in, right?
Can I change to throw everybody a curveball?
Sure.
Because I know a lot of people in this field. Let's take, for example, girls softball. I know kids that are on full scholarship that just got a phone call and said you're not on full scholarship.
Right.
Because here's the problem. If you had 24 kids in your program and you had 9 seniors and you're bringing in 9 kids, you have money for 24 kids. Now you have to have money for 35 kids or 33 kids. So everybody takes a hit.
And especially if it's baseball too, because you only have 11 scholarships to begin with.
11.26 or whatever the number is.
So that's so if you have 11.6, and I didn't really think about that, but I talked to a D2 coach I know well, and he said, "Man, all 8 of my seniors are staying." So he had to call those 8 freshmen and say, "Listen, I know I promised you this amount, but here's
what I actually have.
Here's what you're getting."
Yeah.
So there's that trickle down. You know, I don't think somebody like Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, those type of schools, that's really going to matter because they're going to have to adjust it. But you start talking about Charleston Southern, Kennesaw State.
Right.
What happens there?
And I want to bring that back up, but angle this towards the kids because we know that we have some young people listening. Look, this is not about me, but I'm going to talk about me just for a second. Look, I grew up super poor. You know, my mom was in a bad spot with an abusive alcoholic stepfather. I grew up in a bad spot. Grew up extremely poor. Saw a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, had a lot of shady friends. That's just the way things were when you were growing up where I grew up. Getting this education is so very important for so many kids who may be listening to us or watching us right now.
Sure.
You got to love the one who loves you back. We all want to go play football at the University of Georgia.
No, not me, but
Doug, but everybody.
Or the University of Florida.
Doug definitely does not want to go play at University of Georgia.
We'd all love to go play at Alabama or Notre Dame or Southern Cal or Georgia Tech or whomever. But look, if you can go play for Presbyterian, or you can go play for Kennesaw State, or you can go play for Truett McConnell, or you can go play at Reinhardt, what matters is getting that education and getting to play. You see what I'm saying? Getting to play,
That's
guys.
another factor.
You have to ask yourself out there right now, do you want to be on the big campus and walk on and sit there for 4 years? Maybe you do. Or do you also still want to get a college education and go somewhere and get to play
the sport?
That's the biggest thing.
Change your life and still get to play football.
That's the biggest thing I deal with parents. I'm like, listen, and I'll just use Furman, for example. You go to Furman, it's a $50,000 a year scholarship. You're not going to play on ESPN. Game day is not going to be there.
Right.
But you're going to get a $200,000 Mercer, same way, $200,000 degree.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. You'd be surprised.
And
it's
I think
hard sometimes.
the things that drive me craziest, and look, I work with Hudson Mason every day, who was the quarterback at Georgia, and he sees things very differently than I do because his experiences are very different than mine. But I feel like oftentimes that education gets so devalued.
Same here.
And it drives me up the wall. I can't help and I call him on it all the time. I'm like, Hudson, I get it. You're a player's guy. I get it. And the players, you want to see them make whatever the money is, whether it's name, image, and likeness or another, whatever that is. But please stop diminishing the value of an education and what that can do for you. Because and you heard, what was it, Coach White at Douglas County. He was talking about the importance when he said he brought in electricians and police officers and lawyers.
Great
because absolutely, because there's many things you can do past your playing days. And I said it earlier. It may be because you go to Canton or Cooperstown, but one day you will stop playing. What are you going to do then?
It's not. Listen, the Miller Grove coach said he had a kid text him, Coach, can I play in the league?
Yeah.
That's okay to think that. But you also got to say, Coach, what can I do? Where can I get a free education?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm with you, Tug. It frustrates me so much.
Drives me nuts.
One day Hudson Mason will have a child, and he'll be wondering how he's going to pay for that kid's college education. Then he'll know.
I broke Hudson's commitment to Georgia. Just a little side note.
Fans, don't forget.
We yell at him because he needs to be yelled at.
Don't forget the Fan family of stations is your high school football voice of the South. Here on 680 The Fan and over on the Extra at 106.3 FM and 12:30 a.m. and the Extra app. We're the home of the high school football scoreboard show. Coming your way to 10 to midnight starting next week. And we'll have a game, by the way, starting at 7:30. Our pregame show will start at 7. Now we don't know what game that is because our game just got canceled.
Yeah,
but we will have a game nonetheless. We'll see you next Friday night over on the Extra, 106.3 FM and 12:30 a.m.
There you go. You've been listening to the 680 The Fan High School Athletic Roundtable brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and my MRI guy. For Rusty Mansell, Chris Mooneyham, and Doug Konkel, I'm Tug Cowart. This is The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Wondering if the 6 games a week your kid is pitching are going to affect them later in life? I'm your guy. Go to mymriguy.com now.
The Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show, every Friday during football season, heard across the state of Georgia from 10 p.m. to midnight. Starting September 4th, running through the entire high school football season. Go to 680thefan.com/scoreboard show for a full list of affiliates.
Jeff Francoeur here. From my early days playing GHSA ball to my 13 years in the major leagues, I know the importance of supporting your home state and being part of a team. Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team, helping Georgia build a strong agriculture industry and offering affordable home, auto, and life insurance for Georgia families. With agents and volunteers in every community of the state, Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team. Visit Georgia Farm Bureau online at gfb.org to learn more.